There's a major issue that we're all currently experiencing. This problem is fairly new since it's only originated in the beginning of the 21st century. I'm talking about the rise of the internet and how it's negatively impacted the human brain and created a battle within our minds to stay focused on a daily basis. The internet has been a great source for all types of things over the last 20 years. However, people are succumbing to any little urge that crosses their brain. People fall into the trap of instant gratification, along with becoming hooked on the dopamine that your brain releases from things the internet provides. This can be scrolling through social media, playing video games, and reaching human climax from watching videos on the hub. These digital experiences may seem quick and harmless, but they provide this sort of mind-numbing effect that has more of a negative impact on your brain than you're made to believe. According to the World Health Organization, depression is an illness that has affected almost 4% of the entire global population. In my opinion, this percentage will only continue to rise as the world makes more technological advancements. Now, I want to get into why submitting to every single one of our brain's little urges is a bad thing, but first we need to understand how the human brain functions and why these urges are occurring in the first place. We all remember learning about Dr. Sigmund Freud, the Australian neurologist who believed that the personality is complex and has more than one single component. In Dr. Freud's theory, he states that our personality is composed of three elements: the id, the ego, and the superego. These three work together to create the brain's complex behaviors. The initial sense is the id. This is our basic caveman-like human instincts. These are responsible for our basic human needs, such as eating food, drinking water, and seeking human reproduction. These are needs that every human is born with. The id is driven by the pleasure principle, which strives for immediate gratification of all desires, wants, and needs. If these needs are not satisfied immediately, the result causes you to feel anxiety or tension. This is where the development of the ego comes into play. The ego deals with reality, trying to satisfy the id's needs in a way that is socially acceptable. This may mean delaying gratification and helping ease the tension that the id feels if a desire is not met right away. The ego also recognizes that other people have wants and needs as well, and being selfish isn't good in the long run. Let's say you were out at dinner and ran out of water. Your ego would prevent you from taking someone else's glass and drinking it. Your ego would tell you to wait until your server returned to fill your water, understanding that it would be rude to take someone else's water just because you're thirsty. The human brain learns to develop the ego. It's created through visual and physical experiences we go through while growing up, which is why the ego is the personality component that's responsible for dealing with reality. Ultimately, the superego develops last. This one is based on morals and judgments between right and wrong. Even though the superego and the ego may reach the same decision about something, the superego's reason for that decision is based more on moral values, while the ego's decision is based more on what others will think or what the consequences of an action could be on the individual. This one has a special and deeper development created within the superego. This is the human conscience and the ego ideal. The conscience stores details about things that are viewed as negative by society. These behaviors are frowned upon and can lead to consequences, punishments, or feelings of guilt and remorse. The ego ideal includes the rules and standards for behavior that the ego strives to accomplish. The superego reduces all of the id's unacceptable urges and struggles to make the ego act upon idealistic standards rather than on idealistic principles. For example, if you forget to study for a test and you're thinking of cheating, the superego will help you suppress the urge to because it knows it's wrong. Even if you end up failing the test, the superego will make you feel good in knowing you did the right thing, and hopefully you'll learn from the mistake. Going over these three help us understand the substructure of the human brain and what makes up our personality. The big problem occurs when components of our brain that make up our personality become unbalanced. Gen Z and millennials are largely at risk to being submissive to the id, mainly because the internet has made it extremely easy to access quick doses of dopamine. It takes little effort to satisfy the brain's deep sense of belonging when you can just pull up videos of people having fun on the internet and make the brain believe that you were there with them. The same thing goes for human relationships. You find it almost inconvenient to search for intimacy when you can just go online and seek pleasure for yourself. And it takes no effort to make real connections with friends when you can go on any social media platform and reach anyone at any time. There's plenty more, but these examples that I mentioned don't allow us to get the true experience of seeking a real fulfillment and belonging in life. All of these satisfactions are just empty. These artificial experiences are not going to provide the needs we have as human beings. So what happens when we choose these easy and artificial experiences? Well, we're left with feelings of depression and anxiety. You see how things are starting to make sense? In this day and age, you'll find people everywhere consuming mindless content. If you're at the airport, you'll see tons of people scrolling through TikTok and watching videos on Twitch. If you go to a restaurant or a cafe, everyone is watching videos on their laptops and tablets. People are always in this mindless consumption sort of trance or whatever you want to call it. The result of all of this is wherever you go and find these people, you'll see very average and unextraordinary behavior. It puts you in an awkward position when you think about it. Like, why can't people make genuine interactions anymore? Since we're on the topic of delaying gratification and how it'll drastically improve your life, I want to talk about the marshmallow test. It's one of the most famous pieces of social science research, and for good reason. This experiment was conducted on hundreds of children from the 60s throughout the 90s. The test involves placing a marshmallow in front of a child and telling them if they can go an extended period of time, usually about 15 to 20 minutes, without eating the marshmallow, they can double their reward and have a second one. If the child is able to delay gratification and double their payout, it's usually a good sign that they possess the willpower that will serve them when they're older, at school, and eventually at work. This test is so famous because it's a potential indication of future success. If you're able to suppress the wants of the id and focus on your long-term goals, the delaying gratification will lead you to becoming extremely successful in life. Even though this YouTube channel is oriented around striving for financial success, delaying gratification will serve you in many other areas of your life as well. Your health, your fitness, mental well-being, and above all, your happiness. So how can we translate all of this into useful information? Well, with everything that we've covered, we have the ultimate blueprint to reach success. Delaying gratification is the answer that will lead you to living a successful and fulfilling life. Stop looking for immediate pleasures altogether. Work harder at the things you want to be great in. For me, that's getting up and getting work done in the morning, going to the gym, meditating on a daily basis, and building real relationships with other people. Making an effort to actually do all of these things will satisfy that deep sense of fulfillment that all humans are longing for. These things aren't easy to do, but it's necessary. Think about this. What highly successful individual do you know spends all day playing video games or all day scrolling through social media? Right? You can't think of one. Highly successful individuals know how to manage their time in better ways. How will you become successful if you're training your brain to become lazy and succumb to little impulses? Focus on creating positive habits. You understand where your time is being allocated towards better than anyone. Look at your daily schedule and start thinking about things you can do to not indulge into habits that release dopamine artificially. If you stay consistent, eventually the good habits you form will create an entire new lifestyle. You won't have to make such an effort, and things will get easier because you've trained your brain to avoid mindless behavior. And all of these little pleasures that you once enjoyed will begin to make you feel wrong because that's not who you are anymore. You've created an entire new personality. I hope you guys enjoyed today's video. I know some people watch and forget to leave a like or comment, but if you've gained anything from this video, please make sure to like and leave some feedback. It really helps me out as a creator, and I'd really appreciate it. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Later.